comfort or cash? It's a simple question, right? But if you've ever walked into a networking event and, well, found yourself heading straight for the people you already know, you might be engaging in a habit that's silently sabotaging your income and maybe limiting your professional growth, too. Welcome to the Networking Hat Deep Dive for Gold Nuggets. We're your guest host today, and we're ready to unpack some truly counterintuitive wisdom. Yeah, this deep dive is all about confronting a fundamental truth, our natural human inclination for comfort. You know, that easy, familiar feeling can actively work against our financial success. Especially in networking, we're drawing some powerful insights directly from Mel Kaufman's life's work, specifically from Miracle 33, and honestly, it offers incredibly practical wisdom. It really challenges some very ingrained assumptions about how we connect.
It really does. And what's particularly insightful here, I think, is how a seemingly small choice, an innocent one even, can have such a profound economic impact. Most of us, well, we aren't even aware we're making a strategic decision when we pick a seat or start a conversation at an event. We often just operate on autopilot, driven by social ease, right? But Mel's work, it forces us to really examine that autopilot and understand why these seemingly innocuous choices can be so detrimental. So our mission today is basically to connect those dots for you, challenge those habits, those ingrained habits, and arm you with immediate, actionable strategies, things you can put into practice, like starting with your very next networking opportunity.
Okay, let's unpack the first powerful gold nugget from Miracle 33, because it's a real eye-opener, and it's delivered with Mel's characteristic directness. He says, very simply, if you sit by an associate or a friend, you are a loser. Oh. Now, I know that sounds harsh, really harsh. And before anyone gets offended or thinks this is, a judgment on friendship itself, let's be absolutely clear. Mel isn't talking about the value of your relationships, not at all. He's speaking purely in terms of cold, hard economics, strategic opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah, the power of that statement isn't really in its harshness, it's in its clarity. Mel isn't making some moral commentary on whether it's right or wrong to enjoy your friend's company. Of course it isn't wrong. He's articulating a stark economic reality. But importantly, within a specific context, the networking event, when you step into that room, your primary objective, well, from a strategic perspective, it should be to expand your network, to cultivate new relationships, to discover opportunities that frankly aren't available within your existing immediate circle. So by choosing comfort, by gravitating towards someone you already know, you are in that precise moment and context, actively preventing yourself from achieving that core economic objective. It just diverts your energy, your focus, and your most valuable asset, your time, away from potential growth.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because it's not just about what you actively do or don't do, it's also about the ripple effect it has on others around you. Mel points out that strangers do not approach you because they feel they would be intruding on your financial frivolity. Now, financial frivolity, that's a strong phrase, isn't it? What's going on psychologically there? What does he mean?
Well, it's all about signaling. And it's a crucial point that I think many of us overlook. When you're deeply engrossed in conversation with people you already know, maybe you're laughing, sharing an inside joke, or simply appearing content and connected, you're inadvertently projecting an image of being unavailable, like you're busy. You're creating a sort of invisible closed circle around yourself. So new people scanning the room, the ones looking for connections, they'll perceive that you're satisfied with your current interaction or busy or maybe just not looking to expand right then. So they naturally hesitate to approach. They don't want to interrupt what looks like a personal chat, not a professional one. And this directly leads to missed opportunities for new relationships because through your body language, your focus, you're signaling closure. Instead of openness, you're effectively putting up a do not disturb sign, mentally anyway.
Wow. Putting up a do not disturb sign when you should be broadcasting an open for business signal. That's such a powerful visual. And it gets even more practical, especially when we talk about a specific type of associate. People from your own office. Mel highlights this. He says they don't buy from you and they don't sell to you. And then adds, you don't need their business card. Oh, yeah. It's so fundamentally simple, obvious almost, yet often so hard to internalize, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Yeah. And this comes down to the fundamental value proposition of a networking event. What's the point? If your goal is to find new clients, new vendors, new partners for collaboration, or if even just expand your professional insights, get new perspectives, then focusing on existing office relationships is, well, from an economic standpoint, it's unproductive. You already have access to your colleagues through countless other channels, email, meetings, the water cooler, Slack, whatever. A networking event is this unique, dedicated environment. It's specifically designed for external growth and discovery. So it's spending that precious, limited time with people from your immediate sphere. means you're essentially duplicating effort. And, critically, you're missing the chance to cultivate new avenues for growth, avenues that are simply not available within your existing professional ecosystem. It's really about leveraging your time wisely. Are you just reinforcing existing connections? Or are you genuinely cultivating new avenues for business and growth?
So it really boils down to intentionality, doesn't it? Being deliberate. And that brings us to the core of this entire discussion, that pivotal question Mel asked directly. Do you want comfort or cash? He forces us to confront that fundamental choice between immediate social ease and long-term financial gain. And I think we've all been there, right? Standing in the room, scanning, spotting a familiar face, and just feeling that gravitational pull towards the known, the easy conversation.
Absolutely, we all feel it. And what's so insightful about this question is that it bypasses any judgment. It goes straight to our inherent human nature. Our natural inclination is always towards comfort and familiarity. Always. It takes less cognitive energy, right? It feels safe. It provides immediate social gratification. There's a kind of tribal instinct at play there, I think. However, in the strategic context of a networking event, that very natural, comforting inclination becomes a significant hurdle, a block, to both financial and professional growth. So making the conscious choice for cash, which really means opportunity, growth. It means overriding that instinct, prioritizing strategic networking, deliberately stepping outside that comfort zone, even for just a moment, to pursue economic opportunities. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes, the easiest path, the one of least resistance, is the most profitable one, or the one that leads to real growth.
And if you do choose comfort, if you stick with the familiar faces, Mel says you become what he calls a double-edged link loser. It's quite a term. He uses this incredibly powerful metaphor, describing this networking error as being like a razor-sharp sword with two edges. It suggests it's not just a minor misstep, it's actively cutting into your potential, your revenue even. Can you break down those two edges for us? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a really vivid and I think accurate analogy for the compounded negative effect that's at play. If we broaden this out a bit, it's about both active and passive opportunity loss, both stemming from that initial choice, that choice for comfort. So the first edge of that razor-sharp sword is that you do not reach out to others. Your comfort with your existing connections, it keeps you from actively seeking out new people, from initiating those valuable conversations that could lead, well, anywhere. You're simply not taking the proactive steps required for growth in that environment. Then the second edge is that others will not reach out to you. As we just discussed, your apparent busyness, your engagement with your known associates, it deters new people from approaching you. They see a closed group, they assume you're not looking, and they just move on. Find someone else who looks open. So both of these sharp edges, they work together in tandem to actively cut into your annual revenue, as Mel puts it, creating a significantly compounded negative effect on your professional and financial trajectory. Mel often talks about how we need to eliminate your poverty parables, by which he means those unconscious stories or excuses or maybe self-limiting narratives we create that prevent us from taking the necessary steps, the sometimes uncomfortable steps for economic advancement. It's about recognizing those blocks and then discarding them.
Eliminate your poverty parables. I think that's fantastic. A great call to action in itself. So, okay, this isn't just theory. We get the concept. What does this all mean for you listening right now? How can you put these gold nuggets into action immediately? Well, Mel provides some really clear, practical implementation tips. And honestly, once you try them, they are incredibly effective. Simple, but effective. First up is what he calls seat selection protocol. Sounds formal, but it's straightforward. At your next networking event, Mel advises you to make a conscious effort. Scan the room for empty seats, not next to known associates or friends. It might sound almost too simple, maybe even a bit awkward at first, but it's a deliberate act, choosing potential discomfort for the sake of opportunity.
It is simple, but its effectiveness lies in forcing you to break a really deeply ingrained habit. Instead of just passively drifting towards that familiar table where you recognize faces, you are actively engineering an opportunity. You're taking control. Imagine walking into a room. Maybe you see a colleague wave from across the way. But instead of walking straight towards them, you pause. You take a moment. You consciously scan for an empty chair at a table where you recognize no one, zero people. Or perhaps you even look for someone who appears to be alone, maybe looks approachable. Making yourself approachable in turn, it's a proactive decision, one you make within the first few seconds of entering the event. So are you passively waiting for connections to just happen to you? Or are you actively engineering the opportunities for them to naturally unfold? This small choice, honestly, it can set the tone for your entire event.
That's such a powerful mindset shift right there, just that one choice. And the second tip, it builds on this. It's called brief acknowledge and move on. Mel says if you briefly encounter an associate, maybe you bump into them getting coffee, offer a quick, polite greeting, and then, crucially, strategically move away to seek new connections. Avoid getting involved with your friend and losing that precious time. Okay, but how do you execute that gracefully without seeming rude or dismissive?
Right? That's the key, isn't it? Graceful execution. It's about being present and polite, absolutely, but also being fiercely strategic with your networking time. It's valuable time. It's not about ignoring people you know. That would be rude. But it is about prioritizing your goal for that specific event. Why are you there? So a graceful execution might involve, say, a quick warm smile and a wave across the room. Or if you do bump into someone close up, maybe a brief, hey, great to see you. Look, I'm going to circulate a bit, try and make some new connections. Let's definitely catch up properly later, though. Or then you smoothly move into another part of the room or initiate a conversation with someone new nearby. The key is to convey genuine pleasure at seeing them, sure, but also your clear intention, your intention to utilize your time at the event for its primary purpose, meeting new people, your existing relationships. They can and should be nurtured, of course. Just
Yeah.
apply eight outside of this specific high-value context. It's really about being intentional with every moment you have there.
Those are incredibly actionable strategies, really practical, and they both highlight that conscious decision-making that Mel Kaufman emphasizes so much. It's about choice. Okay, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's reflect on a couple of Mel's powerful questions from Miracle 33, the kind that really stick with you after you hear them. First, thinking back to the beginning of our conversation, why does sitting by an associate or friend lead to you being, in Mel's words, a loser in a networking context? Remind us of the core reason.
Sure. It really comes down to the fundamental opportunity cost. It's economics 101, almost. Every single minute you spend reinforcing an existing connection, a connection you already have, is a minute you are not spending forging a new one, a potentially valuable new one. So in a networking environment that's specifically designed for expansion, for growth, comfort becomes a self-imposed barrier,
Yeah.
a wall blocking the very growth you presumably seek by being there. You actively, even if unconsciously, close off those new pathways for business, for collaboration, for insight.
Yeah, that's a stark reminder. Okay, and second, that pivotal question we discussed. Do you want comfort or cash? How does asking yourself that question challenge our natural inclinations when we walk into a networking event?
Well, it forces us, really forces us, to confront our deepest psychological biases, our default settings, if you like, our inherent human preference for ease, for familiarity, for the path of least resistance. Choosing cash, again, shorthand for opportunity and growth, means consciously overriding that default setting. It means choosing to step into discomfort, maybe just momentarily, and prioritizing long-term strategic gain over that immediate social gratification, that easy chat, and a really powerful call to intentionality. And fundamentally, a recognition that growth, real growth, it rarely happens inside our comfort zone.
That's so true. Now, if you enjoyed this deep dive and found these gold nuggets useful, please subscribe to the deep dive. We'd love for you to join us regularly and maybe leave us a comment with your thoughts on these networking habits. Do you recognize yourself in this? And please rate the content. It really helps others find the show. We always love hearing from you.
Absolutely. And if we connect all this to the bigger picture, true growth, whether it's personal or professional, often comes from having the courage to step outside our comfort zones, to challenge our default behaviors, those habits we barely notice. And these insights from Mel Kaufman's life's work that offer a really clear, actionable path to doing just that. They help transform those potentially limiting habits into stepping stones for real success.
Well said. Now go put on your networking hat and grow your business.